our speaker, who I got to meet with his wonderful family and raving fans that are sitting back there on Saturday. Sam, Nancy Rose, is also from New Jersey. He's from Patterson, and as is my husband from New Jersey as well. But let me just tell you quick a couple things about Sam. Marine Corps, 1990 to 2002, counterintelligence agent, polygraph examiner, licensed agent since 2004. Former owner of Preferred Real Estate and Remax Platinum Group, current broker and owner of Reality Realty Professionals, Virginia Heroes, recipient of the Military Friendly Business Award 2012, and the recipient of the Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2012, and I was there when he got those awards. #1 Homes for Heroes franchise in Virginia, and the #2 Homes for Heroes franchise in the nation. So let's give him a warm welcome.
Thank you, Karen, for the introduction. And my wife's a nurse, so thanks for selling me out. Looks like I'm going to have to kiss some butt this week. So, real quick, we're going to do things a little bit different. Today, we're going to start with a little exercise, kind of get the blood pumping, and then we're going to roll into it. But pretty much, the overview we're going to go is pretty much how we can tap into the heroes of our community. I was asked to sit, come in here and talk about Homes for Heroes or selling real estate. I didn't want to be that specific. I wanted to be a little bit broader and talk about how we as a community can get into that. So that's what you're headed for. But right now, I just need you guys to stand up. We're going to go through an exercise. It takes 2 seconds, and it's going to emphasize the point for the rest of the day. So what I need you guys to do right now, very simple instructions. I'm going to tell you to reach as far and as high as you can. And the object is to get as high in the air as you possibly can. Just push, 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 push when I say go. All right, go. Keep pushing. Go as high as you can go. High as you go. Use any materials you can do. As high as you can go. What do you guys do? Right? Going higher, higher, higher. Got some people on the chair, right? So now you're higher. I want you to go as high as you can go. Now keep pushing, right? You can go a little bit more. That's what I want to show you guys. Sit down real quick, okay? I got the guys on the chair. I like to do this exercise because the whole point of today is this. You might be doing what you think is excellent. But when I asked you to do a little bit more, people jumped. People got on a chair. People stood up on their toes, right? They got there a little bit quicker. The reason for that is you kind of get used to what your personal best is, and you've got to refresh that. You've got to sharpen your sword and come out a little bit stronger. And remember, you got to push yourself. At 41 years old, I'm not trying to keep pace with anybody. I am who I am. I'm trying to be the best that I can be for myself, for my family, for my business. And that's that exercise helps us wrap our brain around. So for today, getting into the hero population and the business side of it, I want to talk a little bit about Boston, right? Boston was a tragic event. Near and dear to my heart. I was a counter-intel background, counterterrorism, interrogations, polygraph, all that. It was near and dear to my heart for several years. But what makes me unnerved now in 2013 is this stuff is not happening overseas anymore. That was over with September 11th. Right now I've got Boston. There's going to be several events. If you don't think so, I can tell you right now you're wrong. But what happens now in the States and in Boston, as tragic as it was beautiful to see the community come together, right? It wasn't just service members in harm's way. We had police officers. We did have nurses. We had clergy, right? The teachers have to deal with the fallout. The clergy deal with the fallout. EMTs rushing to help people out at the arena. Taking risks. No one else knew there was no more bombs. These guys ran in to help people save their lives, make a difference in our community, make a difference in someone's life, maybe even save a life, right? And those are the people that we live around every day in the Northern Virginia area, right? So everybody was applauding Boston and saying, this is a great thing. Look at how everybody came together, and I was thrilled about that. But then there was a part of me that said, we live in Northern Virginia. There are 840,000 veterans in Northern Virginia. That doesn't count active duty, reserve, National Guard. If you want to take that over to the hero population, how many fire departments do we have? How many schools do we have? How many EMTs? How many churches, right? There's a whole community here of folks who every day are helping us live our lives, secure our lives, and give us that peace of mind that we deserve, right? So as business owners, we have to tap into that. We got to remember what that's all about, right? If I come out in the diner out here and I see a guy in uniform, it's so passe everybody's like, oh, another soldier, another Marine. Try that out in Florida. Try that out in the Midwest somewhere. And you're walking in there, and I guarantee you, you're going to have people coming up to you, thanking you for your service, treating you just a little bit special. Somebody might actually pick up your meal, right? When I grew up in New Jersey, if you were a cop or a firefighter, guess what? You didn't pay for a meal at a diner, right? You came in, everything was calm, right? It was a sign of respect. They actually wanted some, more. Their place was on fire. They probably wanted to get there a little quicker, so they'll throw a donut at you. Let's be honest. But at the end of the day, they also wanted to make sure that they knew that you knew they were being taken care of, right? That's what it's all about. So how can we tap into that more and be less complacent? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm new to the clicker, so if it screws up, it's on me, right? So again, 837 vets, almost 840,000, right? We're doing an okay job. The reason I wanted to do that exercise, again, was to just reinvigorate that. I wanted to jumpstart your heart like we're jumpstarting Uncle Sam's heart on the slide over here. We want you to understand that that is an untapped resource. As much as you think you deal in that and you do wonderful things for them every day, we're off the mark. Let me give you a couple of examples. When I owned that Remax franchise, that lasted with me for exactly a year. I had two partners, sat down at the round table, we're doing our business plan, I'm saying, hey look, I'm really taking care of the vets, I want to have a veteran-specific program. They said, what do you want to do? I said, look, I want to give them money. Nope, they didn't want to do that. They said, guys, a lot of our clients are already military clients, so we'd be giving money away that we would be getting anyway. And these people have to buy a home, so they should be thankful for our professional service. We don't have to give them credit. I said, guys, you're missing the mark. So they missed the mark on that, and they missed the mark on several other things, right? So anyway, that lasted a round trip, 365 days, because I couldn't take it anymore. And then I broke away and started my own thing. And I'll tell you, at first it did hurt, because that is true. I absolutely 110% have a huge military client base. So when I started to give away 25% of my money, that hurt. But a strange thing happened. It wasn't strange to me, it was just strange that it happened so quick. People referred to me left and right. But they were not talking about the money that I was giving them. You can't just give them money. It's not about giving them a coupon. It's about a level of service and commitment and fully understanding their needs and what it means for them to get in a police car every day and respond to that call. What it means to get in a fire truck and run into a burning building 1 or 2 times a day. What does it mean to leave your family for 6 months, and what ramifications does it have on your family from a fiscal perspective, right? As business owners and the products and the things that we're selling, they need them. But if we don't do it the right way, it can hurt. So when we sat down with them for the hour and we evaluated what their needs were and made sure that the decision they were making in a real estate perspective made sense, it actually affected their whole life. And we were actually returning people away. People sat down with us and we said, you know what, this isn't for you. There's no way you can sustain it. You're going to be out of here in 3 years. Why are you doing this? Renting might be a better option. And those people thanked us up and down. So is that a nice business story? Absolutely. We didn't hurt anybody. We didn't actually, we didn't make any money. They didn't lose. They weren't upset. No one got hurt, right? But it goes beyond that. See, what happens is the impact that we have as business owners, when we don't take that serious, those ramifications affect those people. So do you really want them showing up to work or responding to a call, worrying about their mortgage or their car payment or their overall finances or the safety of their child? You don't. They're distracted, and I, for one, don't want a nurse playing Shaky Jake because her mind's somewhere else, right? I need her focused on that task. So that's the impact that we have when we do our job right. There are ramifications. So people we were turning away ended up giving us more business. And I tell you right now, I think that's what spiked our growth in the early stages, because no one could believe what we were doing. It was one of the worst markets ever, right? 2004, 2005, everybody's struggling to stay alive, and this Jersey boy's throwing money out the door. I knew the effort would be matched by the universe eventually. I just had no idea now and on what scale it would happen. Conversely, I'll tell you about 2 people in the community some of you guys may or may not know. Clay Huber, owner of Rosner Toyota. I tell you right now, every single time I send a client to that man, they come back unsolicited giving me a thank you. Thank you for the service, thank you for the education, thank you for referring me. They got a great deal on a car, it was what they needed, they didn't get upsold, they got taken care of. Why is that important to me? Because I see people's credit reports all the time. And I see lance corporals and corporals and young firemen and young nurses and EMTs with 18% interest rates on cars they shouldn't have bought in the first place. That's not the way to do business, right? So I love his commercials because he said, can we afford not to do it? And that's one of the things we have to think as business owners overall. Can we afford not to give that level of service because of the impact and how our destinies are intertwined? Another success story from the area is a dear friend of mine. His name's Curtis Weinstein. Got out of the Air Force Honor Guard, I'm sorry. Started a company knocking doors, selling security systems. Was he doing a good thing? Absolutely. He was going to secure people's homes. They liked it. They needed the service. But that's not how he tackled it. He took it a little bit different because that's the type of person he is. And he actually coined the phrase, he's your protection connection. It wasn't about what he was doing or how he was doing it. It was about why he was doing it. That's what made him successful. Literally in 10 years flat, he went from moving up here from Florida to selling his company for multiple millions of dollars. ADT Absolute Security was based out of Route 3 in Fredericksburg. Some of you may or may not know. Phenomenal guy. I'm glad to have him as a friend. And one of the things that we always join up on is getting real clear on why you're doing something. It's not about the widget. It's about the why. What's the passion? What's your heart? What are you bringing to this game? One of my favorite authors is Daniel Pink. I don't know if you guys have ever read him. There's a reading list in the backwards for you. You can take a look at it. He's a former lawyer turned motivational researcher. And he gets into what really motivates people. And he says the how is so boring. Like what you do is so boring. It's all about why you do it. The studies, right? Study after study after study. Why do these people achieve great things? There's other people next to them. You can take it in any industry, right? You can take a great lawyer, you can take a great doctor, a guy that rises above his peers. They have the same training, they have the same access, they're doing the same job. Why is one guy exceptional? And why he's exceptional is because he's clear on his why. So if you want to tap into this market, you got to get clear on your why and what you're doing for the heroes in our community. What service can you provide? If you're providing a good service, how can you make it better? Right? Because it's, again, not about the coupon. Coupons are a bait and switch. Come in the door, I give you a discount. It's the service has got to be the follow-through. They don't care about money. There's not a police officer, a nurse, a veteran, certainly not a teacher, clergy, or an EMT that is doing what they do because they're getting paid well. It's disgusting what they don't get paid for the level of sacrifice and commitment that they give to our community every single day. So to throw them money is counterintuitive. That doesn't speak to their heart. You got to show them what you're willing to do for them and how you're going to serve their family the same way they're servicing your family and protecting them every single day. So this is how you drill down. Figure out why it is you want to do this in the first place, right? For us, we wanted to make a difference in the real estate world. That was what I wanted to do. I'd gotten hurt in real estate. I've seen people get hurt. My whole concept was I wanted to make it better, right? From there, we figured out the how. How was I going to do that and pick the vehicle? I was actually going to start my own home superhero type company. That didn't work out because someone had already done it. I wasn't in love with the idea. I didn't want to be important. I wanted to make a difference. So I ended up joining forces with them and using what they had already laid out. Why not? My goal was to have impact, not be the impact, right? So we joined up. We've been doing well ever since. And in 3 short years, literally working out of my basement, part-time, with 8 agents who are part-time, we are number 2 in the nation. There's RE/MAX franchises on board. Exit is a huge proponent of Homes for Heroes. There's several large brokerages throughout the United States that are doing this, and they can't touch us because they're missing the boat. They're missing the education piece. They're marketing a credit. No one cares about the credit. They want the credit they're due, which is the same level of respect and courtesy they give to you when they do their jobs day in and day out. The other thing about the why diagram here is it's a good reminder of what we do has a ripple effect, right? So I have a young man, he buys a $300,000 house. Just picture if you could physically pick up that $300,000 house and throw it into a pond. There's ripples, right? Those ripples are hard to come back from if you don't have a plan for them, right? Maybe he's not going to finish school now. Maybe he's got to take out a longer commute, which takes him away from his family. Maybe he can't take those orders. Maybe he has to get out. Maybe, but because no one ever looked at that back end of what the ramifications were of that purchase for him, and they all told him interest rates are low and it's a great time to buy, and no one ever stopped to think about is it a right time for him to buy. That's what you got to get back to. It's not that what our products and services aren't good. We have to determine, are they good for the consumer? Are they good for their needs, right? Don't worry about the upsale. I'm telling you right now, if you do it right, there's going to be, if you don't get the upsale, you're going to get the referral. And referrals are like gold, especially in real estate. At this point in my career, I get probably a dozen phone calls a month for people who are looking for a home. That's a dozen phone calls I'm not paying for. That's a dozen folks who are already on board with my mindset. A dozen folks, birds of a feather flock together, who are pretty good people that I can have into my home and work. It's a wonderful, wonderful process. So instead of being on that burn and churn, we spend money on our clients, but we spend time, which they appreciate more. If you go on our Zillow referral list, you'll see, not one of them, well, a couple of them will talk about the money. Every single one of them got the same credit. Maybe a third of them will talk about the money, and the rest of them will talk about the service and the care and the professionalism and all the wonderful things that we're doing, right? That's what you want to get to. So you got to reconnect back to your why. And once you do that, you've got to anchor it in your corporate culture. You've got to set it out there. So if you're going to have a niche program for these heroes, spell it out. If you don't tell people what you're doing, you might as well not be doing it, right? Whoever did a marketing degree can tell you that. So what we figured out was, hey, let's anchor it in our mission statement. And how we got to that was going through the process here. If you guys, do you have those handouts in front of you? I don't want you to think this is my bright idea. There's a couple really smart psychologists, Kuntz and Potter, and they've outlined some, it's pretty brilliant actually, these 10 commitments that you make as a leader and the 5 practices that you need to consistently do, right? So when we looked at our problem, we said, well, how are we going to model the way? How are we going to do this different? Well, it's not so much about the money. For us, it was the education, right? So in modeling the way, we said, hey, we're going to educate these folks. We're going to give them books. We're going to sit down with them. We're going to put them through a survey. And we're going to make sure that these guys are getting what they need, not what we think they need, right? Then we had to share our vision with them. We had to say, look, guys, we want your business. We want you to buy a home, but we want it to be right for you. That's what we're all about. We want to make sure it's the best thing for your family. So we went down that road and started them again to get a little bit better educated and to check the things that we were telling them and get on the internet, using purpose. Then we told them how we're challenging the process. We told them point blank, I'm not making you sign anything until I have to go show you a house. Right now, I'm just evaluating you. Every other agent on the planet, every other business model, let's get your name on a piece of paper, you're my client, we go buy a house. We tell them, look, we don't want anything from you unless it's the right thing for you. You don't sign anything, and what's more important to us is that you're making a good decision, and in fact, we want you to walk away if it's not good for you. So we have a built-in, like, 24-hour cool-off period. We leave them alone. So we spend an hour with them, don't charge them anything, they go out, they call us back if they want to receive it, if they want to stay, right? That's a wonderful thing. We get everybody in alignment. From there, you know, we sit there and we say, hey, how can we enable others to do this? So I had to teach my team how to do it. I had to teach the lenders and everyone on the other side of it this philosophy so they can apply it the same way. And then finally, we had to figure out how we're going to encourage that. How do we keep that going, right? Well, the first part of encouraging it was priming the pump. So for 3 years, I had to do this on myself before I started to recruit agents. I didn't actually start recruiting agents until about 18, 19 months into it. Because I can tell you right now, when you go to an agent and say, hey, you got to give away 25% of your commission, people don't want to come work for you, okay? So I had to show them that it worked, and on the scale that it could work if they worked it, and how it was going to be received. One of my agents in the room right now is Charles Hoskins. He jumped ship from a company. He was paying next to nothing in fees. He could basically be at 100% for a few $100 a month. He came over to me for a different fee structure purely because he understood the value in the program. This year, he's got several events lined up. He's getting invited into schools. He's getting invited to other places to talk. He's met more people, had more impact, gained more clients, and gotten more referrals than he ever would have gotten in the other business model. So it's not about the money, again, it's about what you're providing. And when you provide it right, when you prime that pump, it comes back. But you got to be very, very careful to reward the behavior from your employees that you want. In our culture, I don't care how many houses you sell. I care about how many people you're protecting. That'd be the first one. The second one is how much money did you donate? How much money did you give away to a charity, or how much money did you give away to a client? Right? That's what we're looking for. Did you negotiate that deal to where you had more money left over to give back into the community? That's what we want to know about. That's how we're geared. So from start to finish, we created that mission statement that outlines all that stuff. You can read it on your own later, but at the end of the day, we distilled it down to not only the hard characteristics based off of our work on the commitments and our practices, but we came up with a goal. And I coined this term being a real estate artisan. I didn't want just a real estate agent. I wanted impact way beyond that. I didn't want to just be an advisor, right? I didn't want to be one-dimensional. I wanted to take all of that real estate knowledge, all those contacts, my lawyers, my title companies, my lenders, all these people, and I wanted to have them and bring them to bear for my clients, so when we evaluate their goals, we can use our tools to best facilitate their goals and their plan. And that's what an artisan does. That's what they do. They take their professional expertise and they meld it with whatever task they're tackling, and they make it something beautiful. And that's our goal. And that's how we ended up getting there, was through getting this, pretty much following this process and distilling it down to our lowest common denominators. The other piece is, you know, we went through a pretty bad time here economically. Not as bad as some parts of the nation, but I mean, we certainly weathered our bull market. We went there, and I think we're kind of on the upswing right now. We, as consumers and business owners, are responsible for that. You know, yes, the system was not designed for us to succeed at that particular point in time. Greed took over, people made some mistakes. The housing market was crazy. That's a derivative of how our whole economy goes. So when that fell, we all felt some pain, right? But most of my clients were able to get through it because even though it fell beyond our wildest dreams, we had taken a look at the exit strategy and their goals, and they were prepared if something catastrophic happened. Now, no one knew it was that catastrophic. I mean, houses getting cut 40–50%, I mean, that created a problem, right? But at least they weren't into it bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and they had a plan if they could sustain on their budget if they got pulled somewhere else. So these weren't these people who were like, now what am I going to do? They're like, wow, this is worse than I thought it was. But their decisions were rooted in reality, which made weathering the storm a little bit easier. But we have to understand that as business owners, we weather that storm with them. That's our problem as well. So if we meet that responsibility head on, and we do the right thing by our clients up front, not, you know, I mean, the guys who sell a guy car for 18–19% interest rate, he should be hitting the head with a bat. That's the Jersey side of me, but I'm 41, and I have a wife and kids now, so I'll just report to the Better Business Bureau, right? So you can't do that the way you want to do it, but you still have that same emotion. So take that. Don't take advantage of someone, and not that anyone in this room does either. I don't want to even paint that picture, but you got to go the extra mile and make sure, again, that you're doing what they need, not what you think they need. That's the whole part of it. For us, we came up with this reality check process. It played well nicely with the name, but it also gave us an opportunity to interview them much like a financial advisor does. So we went down the major wickets. What are their goals? How old are they? Do they want babies? If they have babies, are they going to go back to work or not work? What's your plan for daycare? On and on and on. So we got into their knickers when we did those types of things, and it helped us guide their purchase limits a little bit better. Yeah, maybe you can afford $350, but you want to be at about $275 because that's going to free up enough money for you to live your life the way you want to live it. And if you want to go to college and you want to do these other things, this is what you're going to need to do. So we tempered their expectations with their ability, and we made a really good decision, right? So we call it our reality check process. And then we coined the term caremenship by salesmanship. And I do want to infect you with that. Think about that. You're not selling anything. The end result is, if you really care about people and they need your product, they're going to stay with you anyway. And if they don't, they're going to really respect the fact that you turn them away. So focus more on the caremanship side of it instead of making a deal. Focus more on making the right deal and caring about the customer. And once you do create that relationship, stay in contact with them. Right? Out of sight, out of mind. You have to have that follow-up. You got to make sure that they know you're still there. You know, that's our job to be the first person they call. We can't rest on our laurels every day. And not to mention, things change in their life. Maybe we should check in on them and make sure everything's going well with not only our product, but their life. You never know. Right? So what we end up working through here is, in the real estate piece of the world, it was apparent this was lacking, right? And I wanted change. So when I built this company, I didn't really build it with the intent of taking on other agents and things like that. I had to sleep at night. It's just kind of grown to that. But we've grown on that caremanship principle, right? And one of my favorite quotes from Gandhi is, be that change in the world you want to see. So again, going back to that why, as business owners, if things aren't going the way that you think they should be, or even if they are, you know, come back and say, how can I make them better? Get refocused on that, and if there's a problem that you see, and you have the opportunity to change it, then be that change you want to see. At the end of the day, we're intertwined. It is our responsibility, and it's going to impact our bottom line. It's going to impact their families, it impacts our families, right? If you want something, you got to give it. If you want love, give it. If you want a friend, be a friend, okay? If you want money, help people gain money. If you want stability, help stabilize. If you want growth, help someone grow. That's where we end up with this. And if you embrace that mindset and you can somehow apply it to your business, right, in a way that makes sense for everybody, right? Because charity begins at home. You got to make sure it's profitable, but you deserve a right to live as well. But if you strive to do that and you change your mindset, I promise you your world will change. One of my favorite quotes is, your mind expanded by a new idea never regains its shape. So just like today when you got up and you stretched, maybe this new concept will help you grow, and you can't turn a blind eye to it anymore. And you can't tell me it doesn't work. Because from my basement in 3 years to number 2 to number 1, people calling, being on Fox Channel 5, being in Military Times, all that stuff is wonderful. But all of that is just validation that what we're doing was needed, we're doing it the right way, and we're having the impact we need to have. So that's what I'll leave you with, is go forth, do great things, caremenship by salesmanship, and if there's a change that needs to be made, be that someone, embrace the change, and be the change you'd like to see in your business and your community. With that, thank you very much.